Happy Monday evening, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's going to be a good night because we're going left and right here tonight. That's right. The drivers of the Cook Landscape Group go road course racing in upstate New York here at Watkins Glen. I'm alongside Kevin England. Kevin, this is going to be an exciting one. They're doing a little something different for the next 50 or so laps. Walk us through what you expect to see here at the Glen tonight.
Yeah, tonight the word is perfect. You have to be perfect. You're going to run 45 minutes, not laps, minutes. And from that perspective, whoever runs this race course the farthest in 45 minutes is going to be declared the winner. And these drivers are turning in really fast times. It's a technical racetrack. You have to be flawless. And if you could put in good qualifying lap times every lap, you could stand a good chance to win this tonight.
Cody Harris able to put it on the pole here tonight. Outside is going to be David Schildhouse going to start on that row one. Mark Jorgensen, Wesley Donaldson, Seth Foudy, Justin Fuller going to start sixth tonight. He had a disappointing finish last night at Dover in the ARCA car. So that'll be an interesting redemption arc if he can pull it off here. We saw him fast in practice rather. He's going to qualify sixth. Bentley Glaser, Kevin DeBrown, Josh Parker, and Robert Finetti III going to start here in the top 10.
Patrick Colby, Tyler Dalton starting 11th and 12th, 13th for Brian Macklin. Stephen Miles to his outside with Chad Coleman and Jose Gonzalez lining up behind them. 17th and 18th tonight for Thomas George and Eric Arnold. Joey Jatina is outside or inside his friend Bobby Wetzel. They're starting 19th and 20th on the field.
Nelson Rivera is going to start 21st. Jason Pick, Logan Koger, Troy Haight, EJ O'Rourke, Doug Roth going to start 26th. Then Kevin Stoll, Jason Karlovage, Stoney Benfield, and Randy Yoakum round up the 30th place position.
And Brian Wertman and Doug Sigmund making up the final two of your 33 car field. Come on, Kevin, get it straight. I think, Sean, this is going to be interesting. These drivers were putting in lap times of 1 minute, 10 seconds, which is unicorn time, but they're able to run anywhere on the racetrack. Unlike conventional iRacing NIS, the typical weekly racing, these drivers can go off track, meaning they could run out into the runoff zones. We're going to see them use every inch of this racetrack. And because they can step out over the barriers, they can really hustle the car through certain areas of this racetrack. And important speed points are through the S's and onto the backstretch, carrying off the speed. And off of turn 5, also called the carousel to the chute, that's where you make a lot of speed at this racetrack.
Yeah, Kevin, you're not wrong. I think you nailed it right on the head. Perfection is what you've got to be to get it done here tonight at the Glen. It is going to be, well, it's basically 7 turns NASCAR style, but we're going to call it the full 11. They're not running the boot tonight, and you're going to have to pull off every corner with precision to be there. You're not going to have a caution to fall back on to help you get caught back up. So you've got to run a smart race from top to bottom to be there at the end when it matters most. Cody Harris has been fast over the last couple weeks and looking for a checkered flag. He's going to be on the pole here, Kevin, and I suspect he's going to get us kicked off here with a lot of pace.
Yeah, these top 5 drivers all showed a lot of speed in practice, and I expect that you got to keep an eye on Justin Fuller. Can he go back to back to back to back to back to back? He just wants to keep racking off these wins here in the summer as the pace car pulls left, turns the field over, carried Cody Harris. They roll down the front straightaway, and green is out. Remember, 45 minutes race. That's it, 45 minutes. No cautions. So these drivers are going to do their best to get the best lap time. Wow, contact there in turn 1. The 91 of Wesley Donaldson got whacked by the 88, and they scream here through the S's. Schildhouse is going to grab the early lead.
Cody Harris all over the back bumper there as they roll through the S's for the first time up the hill. They get it sorted out back there. That was Donaldson making that contact. Justin Fuller is already up a spot as they get ready to head down to the inner loop here. Schildhouse gets it woed up. Harris jumps that curve pretty strong with everybody in the top 10 making it three through and clear there on the bus stop on lap 1. A little bit of excitement through the carousel. Again, Donaldson and Kevin DeBrown. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Justin Fuller up here. Bentley Glaser and a couple others mixing it up as they head off down around turn 10.
Yeah, I mean, so far, all these drivers staying on track. We're having a good, clean lap number one. I don't want to jinx anybody as everybody kind of single files out here. They're running out to the front stretch for the first time. It's going to be Cody Harris leading right behind the 20 car. And I think that I saw a lot of slip and slide out of the 51. He really hustled the car. Justin Fuller slipped out, especially through the carousel and into that section of the racetrack. You're going to have to take care of your tires if you want to be able to have this thing underneath. We think they're going to run 17 laps or so before they have to pit, and it's optional. You can take fuel only. You don't have to take tires. Look at the 88 slips off the racetrack there, and Justin Fuller going to scoot around for third as Schildhouse leads out of the carousel to the chute one more time.
Yep, down here getting ready to wrap up the last half of the course here, and Schildhouse and Harris start to break away, but Justin Fuller is screamed up to the top three. Fuller looked really quick in practice, put together a strong, quick lap, a unicorn lap, as Kevin mentioned, and was able to get to the top of the charts, but did not see that effort in qualifying. And now he's looking to pick up the pace here on the complete lap number 2. And his lap time going to be 1:11.18. But we look up front, David Schildhouse. This is his type of track. We've seen him be really fast where he's got a little bit of space to roam, and it's a little more technical in nature. He's a precision. He's a surgeon, that Schildhouse, able to get it done in some of these more difficult racetracks. Well, he's going to have a long time to think about it. Again, 17 laps here on this first run. No caution, so all about setting the pace and then getting in your rhythm as they head through the inner loop.
Yeah, let's take a peek at the line that Schildhouse is running here, and these drivers as they go around. Schildhouse right down on the bottom, the grip is there. He's going to let the car roll out. He'll come back to the racetrack just before the grass there. Roll down this straightaway. There's a white strip right there where the line is that you could turn in. You'll float all the way out, up over the rumbles. Grab your gear down. These drivers are shifting so many times. Here you let the car float all the way out into this little patch, turn it back in before you get to the grass, and scream down the front straightaway. And Schildhouse completing lap number 4. Turn number 1, you're going to turn in here. And depending on your style, you may like to go really wide here, or you can run a straddle. The rumble strips, you turn in that white, and there's a little flick right here. When you're sitting in the grandstands like I was yesterday right there, and you watch the cars come through there, some of them flick and they get the car to rotate, and other ones the car will step out and get a little sideways. Here when we watch, they come down in, they're going to get right next to this fence, hop the banking, and come through here. And in the carousel, turn number 5, they want to be down low. The grip is down at the bottom of the racetrack here. You don't want to be running the middle or outside. You'll come off low and let the car drive out. This time, Schildhouse goes out into no man's land, where we saw the big incident on Saturday. And you're going to try and find your braking point here where you could carry as much speed but not roll out too far here, as you really want the car to come back so you can get a good entry into the front straightaway.
Off of turn 11, they come. David Schildhouse is going to leave, but Cody Harris has stepped up the pace just a little bit. As Kevin mentioned, they're going to have to pit at least twice here during this run. And what do you do to gain that track position if you need it? Well, it looks like all three have set it to full tilt as they're running some mostly identical lap times here last time by. Harris and Fuller all within striking distance of Schildhouse, and all it takes is one mistake. Whether it be sports car, NASCAR, go-karts at this track, you can be quick, but it takes one slip up. One time you hit that curb a little too hard, the car gets unsettled, you brake too sharply, you drive it in too deep. One turn can change the whole dynamics of your race back here. As we look back at 5th, that's Wes Donaldson. He's actually down a spot so far tonight. And currently Cruz here, we saw him get a little unsteady and had a little bit of a fight on his hands during the start of the race, but has maintained that 5th place spot. We look further back, that's Josh Parker. He's sitting 8th right now. He's up a spot. Kevin DeBrown, Patrick Colby rounding out the top 10 here early. And then, Kevin, we get really spaced out here. At least this track is really difficult for a lot of these drivers. You've got to be in the right headspace to get it done. We've seen a lot of off tracks by some folks already. Logan Koger has been off track a couple times. Mark Jorgensen has also showed like he's took a couple off tracks. We've actually seen his happen. How difficult is it to be that consistent, especially, you get past lap 10, things are spread out. You don't have as much hustle as you did on lap 1. What is the mental game like for these drivers in these cars right now?
Yeah, for these drivers, it's really about hitting your marks. You really have to be technical. If you miss by just a skosh and then you try to apply the brakes too hard. And these drivers, they're working with different brake setups, different gearing setups, different steering setups. And from their perspective, they know how to drive it if they did enough practice. They know where the edge is. But it doesn't mean that you can't slip a corner or something and get offline. Right now, though, I'm really impressed. Everybody's doing an outstanding job.
Yeah, early going here on lap number 6. Everybody's minding their P's and Q's as they work down turn 11. Again, that's David Shieldhouse, Cody Harris, Justin Fuller, bringing it all the way back to the stripe. These three still running very similar lap times. Harris has actually poked the nose out a couple of times on Shieldhouse. I don't know if we got a chance to talk, or if you got a chance to talk to these drivers before this race, Kevin, but I wonder if that sneaky arrow is starting to play a factor for some of these drivers, especially these top three running close together here.
Yeah, I ran this track on Thursday night, and I didn't feel a lot of sense of aero. There's quite a bit of grip. You don't see a major amount of tire wear. In fact, the car, I think, feels a little bit better the further you get into the run. You can flick it a little bit and get it to turn. One of the more complicated things is trying to get the car to rotate in some of these corners, and you could see as they came out of the carousel, they're even hopping the curb and going into the grass a little bit, and there the back end steps out for the 51. That's what I don't like for Justin Fuller. That car seems to be in yaw every once in a while and stepping out. That's just him mashing the gas, which is his style, but so far it hasn't hurt him here as he's right there with this top two.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't shown its effects yet, but they're only coming to the completion of lap number 7. And we know they still have about 9 to 10 to go before they come down pit road. And, to that point, those rear tires can get burned off so fast here, just based on all the different throttle inputs. You've got to muscle this car around. And, these machines are naturally meant to go left. And the setup and their tendencies are to go left as well. But primarily a right-hand track here, that rear tire wear could become a factor as we see Harris taking it down to the inside of Shieldhouse into the bus stop.
Well, I tell you, that's a hard angle to get through, but he hit it perfectly and down in underneath to execute the pass. Shieldhouse, gentlemanly, he just let him go, and now the door opens up where the 51 of Fuller tags that quarter panel. They're going to be able to drive out of it, but it's Cody Harris back to the lead. Here he started on point tonight, and here on lap number 8, he goes to the P1 position.
Cody Harris, fastest during practice as well, or one of the fastest during practice, and had a really strong qualifying effort. Knew he was going to come into this tonight. Going to be in strong contention for this role. I can't help but feel like the driver of the 95 has got that car settled out a little bit, and that all played into his hand. David Shieldhouse is one of those drivers, just a lot of talent in the helmet of that 20, but this race is a whole different level. You just have to be in a different headspace. So not only do you got to get your hands and head wrapped around this tire model, this car, and then this type of racing as well. And right now, it's Harris, Shieldhouse, Fuller, P3, and then looks like it's getting a little sporty back here around the 6th place spot. That was Josh Parker, just made a pass as they were coming out of turn 1, getting by Bentley Glazer. And then Wesley Donaldson continuing his consistent stroll, a very quiet run here in the 5th place spot as he moves off into the carousel.
Yeah, looking back to that 53 of Seth Foudy, he was side by side with Justin Fuller through turn number 9, then 10, 11, or 5, 10, 11. Then they were side by side through 1, and in the S's, he was able to hold the car, but it slid out a little bit in turn 1 when Josh Parker applied the pressure and slid up underneath, and the 36 and the 93 went by. And Seth Foudy right now, the SimSeats Toyota, looks like he's looking for fresh tires, that car looks a little tail waggy, and his lap times went from 112s to 114s here as he's slipping back a little bit, but still a respectable 9th place finish, and it is Josh Parker on the move up to 6th.
Cody Harris has broken out to a 1.47 second lead here on lap number 10 as he heads off into the bus stop here once again. And then it's Schildhouse and Fuller, P2, P3. And this is the gap I was talking about from Fuller's perspective. If he is faster than Schildhouse, he's got to make this pass quick. And I say that because, again, no cautions here tonight. This is going to be a 50-lap, 45-minute race. They're going to click them off here really. It's going to happen before we know it. And between the green flag pit stops that everybody will have to take, track position, and maintaining pace, you cannot let anybody get too far out of your sights. Otherwise, it's going to be a catch-up game. And right now, Harris in that 95 still is running some really solid lap times. He's only fallen off about 5 6 here on lap number 11.
Yeah, still running 111s. That's just incredible speed. Is right behind him. There's battles all throughout the racetrack, and you know it's funny is this is a road course, but the speed you carry is just astonishing. And if you make a mistake, usually when you hit, it's catastrophic. So these drivers know when they want to make a pass, they have to telecast the pass they're going to try to make it as. I'm watching this battle for second. Fuller was 3-4 car lengths behind Schildhouse, and on the back half of the racetrack, he could really close the gap and apply the pressure. And on the front half, it is Schildhouse always pulls away, and that slide out of the carousel for Fuller always seems to open the gap. But through the bus stop, inner loop, whatever you want to call it, Justin Fuller is just a man on kill during that section of the racetrack.
Lap times here relatively consistent with Fuller, but again, I reckon, Kevin, that this is this is just him having to change his rhythm, change his consistency here because he doesn't want to get into the two Schildhouse at all. That's not Fuller's style. He wants to try to make this pass clean, but you know how easy it can be to have a driver in front of you take you off your rhythm. And actually, all of a sudden, Mark Jorgensen started to come into picture just a little bit. He's 1 second back behind Fuller as they work up the S's and down this straightaway here as they head into the inner loop. And you mentioned, this is where Fuller shines. He drives it in a little deeper. He actually checks it up on the first step there. We got a car sideways across the track. Everybody has to avoid that and able to do so. And all the gains that Fuller made, he was actually going to close into the bumper strong there. All gone now due to that. He had to take a ride through the grass there to avoid that contact. He's really lost time to Schildhouse now.
Yeah, that was Joe Hudson who had a problem through the inner loop, got into the barrier across the way, and was just trying to get himself heading in the right direction. He missed the entry and slid off. The car went through the grass, and he nosed it just gently into that blue barrier there where cars tend to pile in. But as he went to do the U-turn, the leaders just about collected his Toyota.
Yeah, Josh Parker had to work his way around there. He caught him on the front stretch and able to navigate that, but that was also a little close for comfort as Parker had to slow down just a little bit. Now it looks like Kevin DeBrown is having to work around maybe a little bit of contact there. Hey, buddy, I'm here. I'm going. I need you to get out of my way as Joe Hudson now in a bad, precarious spot as these drivers really gain that momentum up the S's. Some of those turns can be a little more blind as he's going to be offline as the rest of the top 10 squeeze by. And it looks like David Schildhouse and that crew is also working on another lap car here, able to get by. But this just plays right into Cody Harris's hand. Kevin, he is out to nearly a 3.5 second lead here on lap 13. What do we expect to see in these pit stops coming up? Do you think anybody is going to be brave enough to try to hang on to these old sets of tires?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, again, sometimes these drivers feel like the slip and slide of worn tires feels a little better than them. They can stomp on the throttle and get the car to rotate. But there's nothing like the grip of 4 fresh Goodyear. So I think, especially in this first pit stop, it's 4 tires and fuel for everybody. We'll see if they prove me wrong.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Kevin. I think this is a great opportunity to you burn them off early because based on the start of the race, maybe you're a little irresponsible with them, but you move into this what we call the middle of the race, the second stint, and I suspect we will see some folks maybe ride around, maybe be a little more conservative and potentially only take only take two or take none at all on that last stint as we see Fuller again sliding that 51 Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series car all through the interloop there, and that cannot be helping his pace at all. As a matter of fact, it looks like he's actually fallen off the pace quite a bit here the last lap or two. A 1:12.29, a 1:11.87 for Fuller, but Schildhouse running some different times here, a 1:12.29. He's actually slowed down. How much? Kevin, again, you mentioned you run this race. How inconsistent is it, or how much of a problem is it to find your rhythm when you're trying to work around a driver in front of you that may be slower?
It's really one of those things that's it's driver mentality. Sometimes you get to hear kitty message where you're going to chase the driver in front of you, and you can run them down, and other times it's distracting. You'd like to have a clean racetrack and run it yourself. It's all a matter of taste. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at these drivers right now. We started with laps in the 1:11, 1:10 if you were really super quick, and we're seeing 1:11s all the way through, 1:12s, 1:13s. So time hasn't dropped that much. Working lap number 15, these drivers still able to maintain a lot of speed even with 15 laps on their tires.
Yeah, taking a look, Seth Foudy was one of the first here on the lead lap to pit. He cycled back out 22nd, and he spent 15 seconds in the box, so I believe that was a 4-tire and fuel stop for Foudy, as he's going to try to use the tire advantage to his benefit and pick up a little bit of time. I suspect a couple of these drivers may try to do the same, as we see Wesley Donaldson, Josh Parker work through a lap car as they come down the front stretch here to take lap 16. And again, right on the very end, the edge of that window is these drivers, and they should be coming down pit road here in the next lap or so. Again, by the math that you heard us talking about at the top of the broadcast, 2 pit stops should get it done, unless there's a little bit more fuel burn than we expected. And then Nick's going to put the entire field on a little bit of a tight window, but I think they're going to be just about to the good by maybe a lap or so. No cautions again. We talked about that. That is a big adjustment for a lot of these drivers. No cautions, no resets, and that's where you're seeing some of them get really aggressive on some of these passes because they know they've got to get it done and go here to be there and not lose time to the rest of the field. As Harris, going down through turn 11, I thought he was going to peek down pit road. He's going to stay out for another lap as he leads here on lap 17.
Yeah, this is the car I was keeping my eye on, is the 88. We saw it there just a moment ago. His lap time's pretty consistent at 1:12s. He's been running 1:12.6, 1:12.7, 1:12.6, 1:12.7. I mean, he's just steady Eddie here. Mark Jorgensen Jr. in that number 88, as we've got the 81 of Josh Parker on pit road, and we'll see whether or not he goes down 40 miles an hour. It feels like just excruciatingly slow, and of course you're pulling in to the right side. Strange way to pit, I could tell you. You really can't. You got to be careful that you don't get close to the pit wall when you go in and pit, as we still see 51 hustle in the car through the bus stop back there.
What you cannot say Justin Fuller is not going to get every inch of those good years out of this set. He is burning up those rear tires on hot pursuit. Often you see that from a driver who may not necessarily be fast in some of these sections. He's having to make it up at others, and that is leading to that aggressiveness as we see Schildhouse come down pit road. He's the first in the top 3. To join him is going to be Mark Jorgensen. Everybody having to get slowed up out of turn 11 and hit pit road. Looks like Donaldson's going to stay out another lap. So David Schildhouse and Mark Jorgensen Jr. is going to get joined by Bentley Glaser and Patrick Colby down pit road for tires and service for the first time here tonight on lap 18. Now, Kevin, this does take us, we are working lap 18 now. They'll come back around. So they definitely will be able to get this done in 2 stops. So it really becomes down to tire management. If you're Cody Harris right now, you're starting to catch some of these lapped cars. That also plays a factor. Do you get that stop out of the way and let these lapped cars cycle themselves out so you don't have to race in this traffic? Because this becomes the unknown. You don't know how these guys are going to run. They're obviously a little slower. This could be problematic and could be the issue that Cody Harris ultimately sees to let Justin Fuller or David Shieldhouse catch up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where maybe you're in Bill Murray mode. No. You're just on kill and you're making lap times and it feels good and you don't want to pit and break your rhythm. You might stay out there a little while. We see 4 tires in fuel for the 88. For the 20, I want to say, and I don't think I got this wrong, the 81 did not take any tires. No tires for Josh Parker.
That looks accurate. 8.5 second stop in the box. Josh Parker trying to flip the field a little bit as Justin Fuller hits pit road. I'll tell you what, Kevin, I'm really impressed by the run Cody Harris has put here. He has not only stretched that tank of gas out a little bit further than everybody else, but navigating the slap traffic as they move down to the carousel. Oh, he's got to take, I say that he has to get a little aggressive there, moving down to the inside as the 5 and him get tight. And then it looks like the 8 also gets close to him here, coming off of the carousel. Really racy back here with this pack. Surprised to see Harris still out on track. That just shows you that 95's got this track figured out. Not only is he able to be the fastest by a long shot, but also save fuel and feel comfortable in those tires. It looks like he's finally going to join his crew down pit road.
I'll tell you what makes me nervous is watching him come down to 10 when he's hard on braking and the car's just swinging back and forth. This is trying to get it stopped. And it could at any moment slide out, break traction, and you're under such heavy braking. We looked at the rotors on some of these cars. They were glowing, especially the right front rotor on these as Cody Harris moves into his box. We'll see if he hits it perfectly. He does. They're going to come around and work the left side first. Left side tire is going on. It's going to pack it full of fuel. He gives up the lead at this point, but still Brian Macklin stayed out on the racetrack, and I don't know, he was so far ahead, Cody, that Macklin had to have picked up the lead here.
Yep, Macklin is showing in the lead right now, but he's not pit. Neither is Robert Fanny III. He has not come down pit road either. Cody Harris is going to rejoin third. His next in line is Justin Fuller. That is a 2.4 second gap. So a little bit of a slower stop there for Harris as Fuller's able to close that 4.6 second gap down to 2.4. Justin Fuller was able to get around David Shieldhouse. That may be the move of the pit stop or the pit cycle there, Kevin, that Fuller are finally able to work around the 20 of Shieldhouse. Kevin, another thought here. We looked back to see what Josh Parker did in that pit cycle. This just shows you the lead Harris had. Josh Parker, even though he only took fuel, it just looks like a fuel or maybe a 2-tire stop, he's only up to 8th right now, sitting about 15 seconds back behind Harris.
I see a bunch of debris on the racetrack over there in the turn 11 corner. I'm not sure if somebody went off in the grass down there.
I show Stoney Benfield had an off track here very recently. He had a crash, actually. And then it looks like South Valley Logan Koger may have also had a little bit of a off track per my events tracking. We can actually take a look really quick. Let's see if this is related. Seth Foudy looking like he may have had a little bit of a grass cutting moment. Let's take a look. Coming out of 10. Nope, that is just going to be that off-track limit. Him and Donaldson were side by side. Nope, that certainly wasn't it. So, yeah, not sure where that debris come from. They were able to keep it straight and mostly in bounds here tonight at Watkins Glen as Cody Harris, he is back out front. And but Justin Fuller is on charge. He has narrowed that gap down to 2.3 seconds. And continuing to move ahead here. Justin Fuller on the hunt in second place.
Yeah, now it's going to be the tail of the tape here as Harris comes across the line. We'll see what his lap time looks like. a 110.578 to a 110.824. So Harris still turning faster lap times than Justin Fuller, who's on the chase.
Fuller wants to make that run here, and again, there's an opportunity for some of these drivers to maybe elect to take no tires, but so far, Josh Parker, he's up to 5th. He recouped a couple spots when Macklin and the others came down pit road. But I don't know if that was the gain that Parker wanted. He's also feeling a lot of pressure here. That's Wesley Donaldson right to the bumper as they work up the S's and get ready to come down the straight here on lap number 22.
I'm just looking at where we stand in this race. Let's talk about where some of your favorite drivers are. Wesley Donaldson is running in 7th. Just saw Tyler Dalton, who is in 16th, get absolutely sideways, almost catch the guardrail, was able to sort it out. And now he heads into the inner loop, and he's running in the 16th. Right behind him, the 26th of Jose Gonzalez, then Thomas George and Eric Arnold. One lap down in the 19. You got Patrick Colby running in that 10th position. Right in front of him, Bentley Glazier and Kevin DeBrown running in 8th. Seth Foudy still hanging in there. He's running in the 6th position. And we're just looking through the top. It continues to be Harris, Fuller, Schildhouse, Jorgensen Jr. with Josh Parker holding down 5th. And now the question is, how far can Parker go in this run with this track position that he has?
Yeah, certainly impressive. He's able to sit there at 5th. I was talking about Donaldson and Kevin, right as you mentioned him, he went for a ride coming into the inner loop. He got that car unsettled on the left hand there and got sideways, lost a bunch of positions as Parker is feeling a little bit of pressure. That's Kevin DeBrown right there as well. But Paul Parker needs to do here is just ride. He needs to just play it into his hand. He's able to get he's into a top 5 spot here. Just needs to, doesn't need to be defensive, but just needs to cruise, be consistent as DeBrown's going to look to the outside and make that pass. This is all going to be about grip. As again, Parker, one of the only drivers, is going to look to the inside of DeBrown. It gets all chaotic as they work through 10. And one of the only drivers, Parker, only taking fuel this last pit stop down pit road. They get it sorted out as they come out of 11. Parker's going to lose 2 spots. We look back up front, and we were talking about Cody Harris, and Justin Fuller able to make up a little bit of time on him. Well, that's all out the window now. 3.8 seconds. Cody Harris leads over Justin Fuller. Fuller's fallen back over a second since we last mentioned it as he's working around a lap car here and getting thrown off his rhythm. But one thing I've noticed, Kevin, is Fuller really likes to take it outside right there as they work through that turn out of the carousel. He really enjoys taking it way off track here tonight at the Glen.
Yeah, and that's really the advantage that these drivers have. NIS, which is the official races for iRacing, allow you to go up on the curving, but you get a X penalty, 1X, if you go off the track, as we got one car sideways through the carousel back there. So who is that
in the grass? Kevin DeBrown, I believe it was.
Yeah, EJ O'Rourke. Here and there, we've seen little glimpses of incidents. A couple laps ago, going through the inner loop, we saw one of the cars go sideways. That was the 43 of Doug Roth. The STP colors got sideways. He was able to lock it down before getting into the Armco barriers and able to proceed. He's currently running in the 25th position after missing one of the corners. And, you know, this is where also we need to talk about fatigue. It's a lot of work. These drivers are up on the wheel. They have to be technical and hit their marks all the way through. And it is a workout running these cars for this many laps.
It is, but we all go back to that point that you made at the top of the broadcast, Kevin. It's all about perfection, and you've got to deliver a perfect run here as we see Glazer and Seth Foudy go at it as they work through the carousel. Looks like Foudy had a really strong run there through. He's going to have the momentum here, taking it way wide to get the RPMs up in the car as they head down into turn 10. And Glazer's going to have that spot for now. This is for 5th. Oh, and then it looks like Fowley gets that car stepped out sideways, coming through the exit of 10 and off into 11. Josh Parker, also, he is settled in right now into that 7th spot. This is perfect for him. I think this is playing into Parker's hands so far, Kevin. And this may flip a little bit of the strategy for him. Some of these drivers only elect to take if they only take fuel only on that last stop, that may play into Parker's hand because, he has a set of tires in the pits and he's got the track position to leverage to use up those new tires towards the end of this race here.
Yeah, where do we stand? We're at 30 minutes and 14 seconds to go in this race. Remember, it's a timed race of 40 minutes, so we're 15 in. 1/3 of the event is over right now. It's Cody Harris with a 7-second lead over Justin Fuller, David Schildhouse, Mark Jorgensen Jr., and Bentley Glazier. Glazier and Fowley certainly have had that battle going on where Josh Parker is slipping back a little bit. And look who's sitting in 8th, Mr. 3rd place last week, the Patrick Colby car, having another good run here at Watkins Glen.
He certainly is, but it's a lot of traffic as they work down here. Turn 11, 3 wide as they come off the corner. That's some lap traffic there playing havoc with that group. And that is Patrick Colby, Josh Parker side by side as they work off into turn 1. Colby's going to be on what they'll call the high side there, and he's going to have the drive off. Parker's got to pinch the car down, and you see that. He's a little slow on exit, and he's going to lose that spot. And it's Brian Macklin behind him. Macklin pitted on lap 20. He stayed out a while, so 4 laps, fresher tires for that driver. Then it's Donaldson. Again, just about 5 laps ago, Donaldson had a big off track here through the inner loop. Was able to get that car recovered without any damage and drive his way back up into the top 10. Not a bad night for this group as Parker, and it looks like, Donaldson gets sideways and Macklin gets into the back of Parker. A bunch of chaos breaking out here around 10th place.
I'll tell you, Stephen Miles was in the right place, right time. Those 2 cars made contact as this battle in the back half of the top 10 has just been incredible. The 81 has been the wild card factor in there. That car for Josh Parker not handling kind of all over the place, taking away the racing line, has stacked them up as he continues to slip back. Now probably wishing he would have taken some tires as he's under assault from Wesley Donaldson down in turn 1. Donaldson dives low. And really the one we need to point at was Patrick Colby. He lined up that run through 1 and 2, got the car pointed perfectly through the S's, drove through all of these drivers, and he's setting sail here to the back straightaway, currently holding down the 17th or the 7th position and having a good run again in that number 28.
Another driver in the top 5 having a pretty strong run here is the driver of the 24. That's Stephen Miles, sitting 9th right now. I would say a road course is not really his discipline. He was the turn 1 pick of the night last night at Dover, and I'll tell you what, he was thankful for a 3rd place finish. He mentioned, those top 3s are right up his alley. Well, he's not, he's about 35 seconds out of the top 3 at the moment. But Stephen Miles currently running 9th here, and respectable run for the 24 car here at the Glen. Looking back up front, it is Cody Harris. He's all by himself up here, Kevin. With Justin Fuller 8 seconds back. No pressure really on the 95 as these laps continue to tick down. Really, really impressive pace out of Cody Harris so far.
Yeah, for Cody Harris, it's been smooth sailing thus far. He's been just flawless in hitting his marks, but as he comes through the final corner into the front stretch one more time to complete lap 29, now working lap number 30, as he crosses the line in just a moment, he's going to end up catching a bunch of cars. He's got the 2, the 49, and then out in front of him the 6, the 25, the 41, the 43. So I don't think it's going to be that long before Cody Harris is going to have to navigate. And if you're Justin Fuller, not that you wish any harm on them, but boy, you sure wish they'd do something to slow him up a little bit to give you a chance to work your way around him.
Yeah, that lap traffic certainly can play a factor here. We talk about I've talked about a couple times how having to work around drivers that you haven't for most of the night or work around traffic at all can really be a factor, and Harris is going to have to navigate that. He's going to have 3 lap down cars here that he's going to work by pretty quickly. It's all about where you catch them. You want to catch them in certain places, and other places you don't want to see a car around you. So it's all going to be about, you can be quick in your own space, but can he get it done, as he's going to have to navigate this lap traffic? And it looks like it's going to happen here, Kevin, as they work up through the S's. Probably not the most ideal place for Cody Harris to catch this traffic here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, some of these drivers have spotters. They're able to be told what's going on as they know that the leader is coming upon them, or they're looking at their timing and scoring. They can tell, and given their back markers at this point, as he starts to work his way through, he's lapped the entire field up to 18th. They will show him a little bit of courtesy. I was watching David Schildhouse just a moment ago running in third. He was putting quicker times than Justin Fuller, a little smoother through the racetrack, but slipped a little bit. Fuller broke away, and he continues to see what he can do to try and track down that second position. Should any calamity occur, and all things are possible for the 95, these two could be running for the race win. So you have to just keep your foot on the gas and run the car in front of you.
Kevin, while you were talking there, I just saw that Josh Parker. Oh, no! Josh Parker turned around on the racetrack, and he's going to tow. I was just going to mention he had just come down pit road and taken tires, but unfortunately, Josh Parker is looked like those tires may have wreaked havoc, and he is in some trouble. Another car spun around right there on the entrance of turn, or the exit of turn 1. Cody Harris able to work around him there. As we look back through it, and to your point, Kevin, that gap back here, that's Justin Fuller sitting P2, but David Schildhouse, he's starting to close in. It was 1.4 seconds just a little while ago. Now right at the 1 second mark, and that is, again, back to perfection. You've got to be consistent here. It does not matter what the traffic is behind you, what is in front of you. You've got to run your own race. And these two need to keep it clean, but they also see those points and spots up for grabs here tonight at Glen as Wesley Donaldson works down pit road. This is going to kick off the second cycle of pit stops here. They should be able to get the rest of the way from here on out, as Donaldson is going to come down pit road and meet his crew for his final service.
I am going to take an educated guess that 81 incident may have had a little something to do with new tires. These cars awful on edge the first couple laps while you get new tires, and unfortunately for Josh Parker, just missed that final corner in the inner loop. And when you hit those barriers at that speed, that's pretty much night over as the 20 goes to pit road.
David Schildhouse is going to pit from the third place spot. He had run down Justin Fuller to within 1 second. So if those tires really play a factor here, it could only be 1 lap difference that could put Schildhouse over Justin Fuller. And that means that Fuller's just going to drive hard here. He needs to maintain that gap as he's going to work through the inner loop here again. Some 9+ seconds on back to Cody Harris. So no pressure there for our leader. It's all going to be a race for this second place spot as Fuller is going to work through the carousel free and clear. We'll see if he comes down pit road or not. Meanwhile, Kevin DeBrown is also down pit road for tires and service, as we're starting to see some of these drivers here in the top 10 complete their what could be the final stops here tonight as Cody Harris comes across the stripe with 17 to go. Looking at Justin Fuller, he is not going to pit this time. It's going to be interesting to see how this helps David Schildhouse. That driver right now after the pit stop sitting 5th.
Yeah, just looking who's coming in on pit road. Mark Jorgensen Jr. looks like he's in for service. So is Brian Wordman, the 8 of Randy Yoakum, sitting down there. And well, this is interesting. These drivers pick and choose when they go to pit road. Some of them maybe have abused the tire and they know it, would like to go in and get a fresh set and get reset for their lap times. Others, like you said, get in a rhythm and the car feels fine to them and they're willing to go the full Fuel distance. Cranking right, heading to pit road, the Roland Camaro. Bentley Glazer gives up the 6th position. He's heading to the attention of his crew.
Looks like Jorgensen, he's not playing around. He took all 4 of those Goodyear tires, and away he goes. Going to merge back out on track. If Tyler Dalton can squeeze by him here, it doesn't look like it. He's going to come back out on track 6th. And just like that, David Schildhouse has worked his way back up to that 3rd place spot, Kevin. And I think Justin Fuller's in a little bit of trouble. He's only got a 35-second lead on David Schildhouse, and that's not entirely a full lap, as he may be in a little bit of trouble here for that 2nd place spot once we see this pit cycle wrap up here.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this cycles out as Jason Karlovaj exits pits road. He gave up the 10th position to come in for fuel and tires. Right behind him is the 30 of Brian Macklin, who gave up 9th. And all of those drivers in the back half of the top 10 going to be stacked on top of each other now with fresh tires.
We saw the 95 have a really big moment there coming up the S's and down that fast straight. He had to deal with that STP paint scheme. And those two nearly made contact, and then he took a hard dip through the grass on the exit of the inner loop. Now going to look on the inside of Wesley Donaldson through turn 10. He's able to navigate that free and clear, but we talked about how these this lap down traffic can play a factor and really mess up an otherwise very consistent race. Cody Harris able to maintain the lead here. 11-second gap over Justin Fuller.
Fuller cuts right. He's going to go to pit road down to 40 miles an hour. Yes, to make sure he has a flawless pit stop. Given the fact that the pressure's on him, other drivers have pitted and had good pit stops. You can't make a mistake, can't slide through the box, can't get too far right. He's got a little challenge here as the 17 of Kevin Stone pulls out of his pit box. So does Tyler Dalton in the 19, trying to hunt for his pit sign. You got to look at his pit sign. Go back to the 51 and look at the pit sign over top. I love the pit sign on that Joker.
David Schildhouse, by the way, he's coming out of turn 11, and he is going to have that spot by a wide margin, and he is going to advance up to P2 here as he works. Oh, well, I take that back. No, he won't. Justin Fuller got off just an amount of time. What an impressive spot out of Fuller. That had to be, Kevin, that may have been a tire or a fuel-only run. Only 9.9 seconds in the box for Justin Fuller.
Yeah, I have to wonder if he looked at the tire wear and decided he was only in need of, in fact, he only took left side tires on the 51. That is the difference, because I believe if he took all 4, they would have went by him as your leader now on pit road.
Yeah, it looked like Cody Harris actually come out of turn 11 and slowed up a little too much. He's got plenty of time to use, but maybe a little bit of a cautious entry for the 95. Meanwhile, Fuller out front of David Schildhouse, only that gap only about a 2.8 seconds. And I tell you what, if you're David Schildhouse, this is a good opportunity. You've got 4 freshies underneath you. You know Justin Fuller has some opportunities, so certainly something to pay close attention to here as Schildhouse makes a run for that 2nd place spot. Cody Harris jumps back out on track. And I'm really surprised at this move here. Kevin, Cody Harris came down pit road with a 35-second lead or so. Not 35, but yeah, it was 8-second lead or so. And he lost some time down pit road. Justin Fuller down now to 4.5 seconds back as they're working this traffic through the inner loop.
Yeah, I think that for Cody Harris, it was just a matter of don't make any mistakes. You had enough of a cushion that you didn't need to press the envelope. Now he's got 4 fresh good tires, 4 fresh Goodyears, and a full tank of Sunoco fuel, and he just needs to run the second half of the race as cleanly as he did for the first half and not make any mistakes. That's really the key. You've been flawless at this point, but that's a tall task no matter how fast you are right now. Out of the final corner to the front straightaway, he works underneath the 38, looking to put Chad Coleman a lap down. He wants to get back out to the white line here so he can make the entry point into turn 1. And out in front of him, he's looking at a car a little bit slow. It's going to get out of his way. That's the 49 of Joe Hudson. And now he's online going through the S's. And I think for him, it's back to work.
Yeah, back to those consistent mind your P's and Q's. Just get it done here tonight again. Well past halfway tonight's Watkins Glen race for the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series here on Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz alongside Kevin England. Closing in on the end of this thing. Pit stops are complete. Cody Harris did not kick it off very well. He lost a spot or two, but ultimately gained it back around lap 8 and then has set sail since. Nobody has been able to keep track of Cody Harris as now Justin Fuller's fallen back to over 6 seconds. That gap widening quickly here as Fuller's running P2. He's up 4 spots on the night. And then David Schildhouse, Mark Jorgensen, Bentley Glacier, your top 5. A lot of chaos back there around that lap traffic. That was a bunch of cars there. That may have actually played a factor in slowing up Fuller as he had to navigate a bunch of traffic coming off down the straightaway.
Yeah, not only that, the 5 got absolutely sideways right in front of Justin Fuller, and he had to get hard on the binders in the inner loop. Then Joe Hudson in the McDonald's number 49, he went around. The 22 came upon the scene after the 41 made contact, and the LaRue Verizon Ford of Nelson Rivera got a little bit of contact into the blue barrier over there. So a lot of extracurricular activity going on over there at the inner loop, and almost got Justin Fuller.
Overall, minding his P's and Q's here, though, he's actually got about a second over David Schildhouse, but this battle for second is going to be a tight one as they continue to click laps off here. Schildhouse last time by putting together a 1:13.34 and Justin Fuller a 1:14.7, so about a second faster. That's what's making that gap up, and he's even tightened that up even more here post the carousel. That gap now down to 0.7. So I tell you what, this battle for second place is not done just yet. How much does David Schildhouse have left in the tank? And try to get it done. We're going to fly down here as we are quickly closing in on 10 laps remaining that they could get in with this 45-minute race.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw in that shot, there was a car sitting backwards in the grass over there in the final corner. It was the 17 of Kevin Stone. He came out of the corner over there. I am not good at picking my corners up tonight. I don't know why. I just can't get my brain in gear. He's in the final exit of the corner. He got turned around and backed it into the barrier. That 17 is pretty hammered right now, and he's got to go to pit road and get the damage fixed.
Yeah, that 17 car off at turn 10 there really took a hard hit to the nose and then spun it back in, stayed off the track, but ultimately put some hard damage to the rear of that 17 car. Now down on pit road for those repairs. That battle looking here back for a second. It's gotten even tighter, Kevin. Now down to half a second. We're going to start measuring in car lengths, and it's only about 3 as Fuller comes down the straightaway here. David Schildhouse on the hunt, and we talked about it a little while ago, that Schildhouse has his preferred place on the track, and then Justin Fuller has his, and I think Schildhouse here is really going to make a run up these S's. Is going to be a factor that the 51 can't ignore anymore.
Yeah, that incident that slowed up Fuller made this run look just like the one previous, as Fuller's trying to catch lap traffic in the right spot. He moves around the 49 of Joe Hudson, but that puts David Schildhouse right to the back bumper. Through the S's, he's been quicker through here. He gets back out to the carousel with a little bit of a gap, and he's been a little sideways coming up off this final corner here at turn 6, but that time he got through there flawless, and he's opened the gap up to about 3 or 4 car lengths over the 20 of Schildhouse.
Fuller just trying to run hard. To keep in mind, he only took 2 tires on his last stop of the night. Oh, that car sliding out hard out of turn 10 there. That has been Justin Fuller's style all night tonight. Just trying to keep a hold of it. And that car went for a wild slide. Ultimately, though, able to keep that gap right around 4/10 over David Schildhouse. Mark Jorgensen. Kevin is having a strong night here tonight. I personally did not see Jorgensen making a top 5 presence here, but really a good bit of pace out of that 88 so far.
Yeah, Jorgensen's just been steady Eddie. He's been keeping the car straight. He's not pushing it too hard. He's been putting down decent lap times at 111s all the way through all day long, and he's got himself a good top 5 run here. You know, yesterday as I walked around the racetrack, there were several different maps. They had the numbers of the corners labeled, and they were different inside the track. You and I had the conversation about what are the numbers that we're going to call here, because if you look up the maps, they're all different. And darn if I'm so confuzzled about this. The outer loop, the carousel, is 5, not 6. And the thing that screws it all up is whether you count the boot or not. Have you ever run the racetrack with the boot?
I have, yeah. I've run 4 Watkins Glen 6-hour races in the GTEs and GT3s, so I know exactly your confusion.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, that part of the racetrack. A little confusing to come around turn 9, which brings you back to the chute. But, you know, nonetheless, these drivers doing an outstanding job tonight. You know, this is a fast racetrack. We talked about it earlier. If you get off the racetrack here, you usually hit a ton, and thus far, we've seen a couple drivers have a couple peccadillos, but for the most part, everybody's kept it clean and green. This may be a road course, but it runs a lot like a super speedway with the amount of speed you carry and how much braking you do, how much shifting you do to get down into the corners.
Absolutely, and that is where David Shieldhouse was able to make that pass happen. Happened on the inner loop there. He outdrove. He was alongside Fuller here just his last lap, and ultimately able to drive away. David Shieldhouse moving up to P2 here, and this almost certainly has that is the benefit of those 4 tires versus 2. But on the other hand, Fuller wouldn't have been in that position if he took 4 tires. So ultimately, did this play out in his benefit? I think so. He's going to be able to hold on to that 3rd place spot, a 7-second gap back to Mark Jorgensen Jr. sitting in 4th as Bentley Glaser rounding out the top 5. As again, we're closing in on time here tonight. And Cody Harris working his way down into the inner loop and then down into the outer loop of turn 5 through the carousel.
Yeah, 7 minutes and change, 7 minutes and 50 seconds left in this event as Cody Harris continues to put a spanking on the field. He's lapped everybody up to the 11th place. He has a large bit of racetrack before he can chase down the 93 of Kevin DeBrown, who is currently running in that 11th position. But Cody Harris has been on kill all night long as he's just not dropped a wheel off incorrectly on this course. And it is David Shieldhouse now who's worked his way around Justin Fuller and looking to see if he can close the gap somehow. He's got a 12-second lead. And I don't know that Shieldhouse has shown the speed that 95 has had, but you know, every driver in this field, Sean, knows where the driver is relative to them, and they got one of 2 things on their mind. 1, I need to stay in front of the driver I have, or 2, I'm going to chase that guy down in front of me before this thing is over.
Yeah, they're certainly thinking about that. And, you know, going back to Cody Harris here, we mentioned how he's lapped himself all the way back to 11th. Well, what's interesting about that is once they get past Kevin DeBrown, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting move here because 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th, or I'm sorry, up to 7th there are all tightly together here. So that could be interesting. Does, you know, Cody Harris has got a ton of gap here, a 13-second gap on back. No reason to push it too hard here. Does he pace himself so he doesn't have to deal with all of that traffic, get himself in the mix of these drivers? They're racing for position. This is their race. They are still running all 4 position here. It looks like Patrick Colby sitting 7th, Stephen Miles 8th, Seth Foudy 9th. Jason Karlovage right there in that group as well as he works his way up the S's. So these are all these guys. They're fighting for position. So to have Cody Harris come up in this mix could make things a little spicy at the end. So we'll see if he's able to run it down or if he decides to slow his pace up just a little bit in lieu of not catching that group of drivers, as Stephen Miles and Seth Foudy were really tight coming up through the S's there down that straight, but Miles able to maintain that spot through the inner loop and down through the carousel.
Yeah, and if you're Cody Harris, there's a couple things at play here. One, sometimes you got a spotter who's yelling at you. You know, you got a 12-second lead. You don't need to run this hard. But they're thinking, I'm just in kill mode. I want to run my lap and not mess my line up. If you try and slow up, sometimes you miss your braking points or your turn-in points. You don't hit the apex and the curbing the way you want. So you just stay in it and go. He's currently running, last lap was 111, 142. Right in front of him, he could see off in the distance as he comes across the line to complete lap number 46, working lap 47. The 93 car, which is the car he can lap to get to 11th place. And I don't know with, you know, he's running, what, 0.3 of a second faster, Sean, than the 93, whether he's going to catch him. And remember, we're probably going to see these drivers pit one more time. There's only 4 minutes and 30 seconds, but I'm not confident that they may not have to go get some fuel at the end of this.
Yeah, a splash of gas would really shake things up here at the very end as we see DeBrown getting a little uneasy there through the bus stop, rather. And Kevin, I see that lap time difference a full second faster is Harris over DeBrown last time by. So certainly something to think about there is also Cody Harris. What an impressive run. We've said it many times here tonight. But that driver, just last time by, a 1:11.41 for that leader. And his fastest lap of the night was a 1:10.38. So he's only slowed down about a second from his fastest lap. And one of the cleanest cars on track as he comes across the stripe here in pursuit of a checkered flag here for the 21st race of this Cook's Landscape Group Cup Series.
Yeah, what you're watching is the movie I, Robot, because these drivers, they hit their marks absolutely perfect. They pick up the throttle the right place. And it takes a certain know-how to get around this racetrack perfectly. You're going to push right out to the limits to run those. Sometimes you're cutting through the grass. You get across the chicane a specific way. And everybody does it a little bit differently. If you watch how these drivers are going specifically through the inner loop, when they exit the inner loop, some of them are going with the right side tires over the grass, others are up on the rumble strips, and others avoid them altogether. And everybody has a different way to get around this racetrack, and apparently the one that's figured out the best is Cody Harris. He has caught a couple cars right in front of him. We'll see whether or not he has any difficulty. Really, for him, it's just a matter of get to the finish cleanly and don't get any interaction from cars in front of him.
We talked about that just a moment ago. He's going to catch up to Kevin DeBrown here, but he's going to have to deal with him at some point. But again, his gap back to David Shieldhouse running P2 right now is 18 seconds. He has not got the message, and almost in a lot of instances, slowing down is harder than not, because it takes you off your rhythm. Finding those consistent spots and hitting your exact braking points and your turn-ins. So slowing down or changing that pace can throw you off just as much as the traffic around you. And Cody Harris right now always going to catch that lap car right there at the entrance of the bus stop. That is going to slow him down. He's still got plenty of time out back. He even gained a second through the up the S's up the hill there. What a banner race for that 95 as he works to continue to run down Kevin DeBrown here in the closing laps.
Yeah, just popping through and looking at different battles on the racetrack. There's the 51 going underneath the 5 car, and right now those cars that are not on the lead lap are yielding to the leaders, but I think Kevin DeBrown might find a little more fight in him as the 49 ducks off for the 95. See the 24 there. What was that?
Yeah, that was right there at the exit of turn 1. That was Stephen Miles got loose on quarter entry, and he's going to lose it as I'm showing the final lap underway here tonight at the Glen. Cody Harris is going to continue to navigate some of this lap traffic, but not for long. This is going to be the last time around here as he's going to work through the bus stop. He's got to work 2 cars, but he's got a ton of time behind him. David Shieldhouse sitting P2, Justin Fuller P3, Mark Jorgensen Jr. Again, a solid run out of that 88 car sitting 4th. Bentley Glazer rounding out the top 5. as they're going to work their way up here through turn number 10. One final time here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Out of turn number 11 to the front straightaway for the final time, it's Cody Harris with a flawless race. He's not going to get Kevin DeBrown, but it doesn't matter. He's going to win by a margin of 19 seconds here tonight at Watkins Glen. An outstanding effort for Cody Harris, who gets the victory. He's going to go over here into turn number 1 and write his signature on the pavement as, well, here comes the 20. He's going to come down the front stretch and go across the start finish line, and the leader's already doing donuts.
David Schulthouse bringing home P2 here tonight as car stopped on track. That's a little dangerous. Fuller's going to finish third. Mark Jorgensen, Bentley Glazer, Wesley Donaldson, Patrick Colby, Jason Karlovage. It's going to be finished up 19 spots tonight. In 8th place, Seth Foudy and Stephen Miles going to round out your top 10. We're going to step aside really quick, and we'll bring you some post-race coverage with our top 3 right here on Turn 1. As we watch Cody Harris burn it down on the front stretch, we'll quickly talk to Justin Fuller. Justin, another top 3 in the books here tonight at the Glen. It looks like that 51 was a little loose for you here tonight. Walk us through your race in the 51 and tried to maintain the position here tonight.
No, I mean, the car drove great, honestly. It was a fun race. For the most part, we were a second place car and we got a third place finish. That's, I mean, you can't get mad at that, I guess. You know, Cody was by far the fastest. David and I were pretty much equal. I just think I had the better strategy than him there at the end, but my suspension got damaged there going into the bus stop on lap 38. I'm just gonna bite my tongue on that a little bit in the interview, but it's hard to get mad at that, I guess, or mad at the result. I finished one position less than I should have probably, so we hung on there, and still it's another good points day, and we're trying to get that regular season championship wrapped up.
Justin, we saw you take those 2 tires on that last pit sequence. What was your thought process leading into that, and did it come to fruition under that last set of laps there? Did that end up working out in your favor?
It would have worked out in my favor if my car didn't get destroyed in the bus stop there on lap 38. So I wouldn't have won the race. I would have just finished second. So the tires aren't what hurt me at the end. It was my suspension damage. My toe was knocked out. The car wouldn't turn anymore. So just unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Justin Fuller going to finish P3 here tonight at Watkins Glen. Justin, congratulations. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Have a good one.
We'll hand it over to Kevin England, who is going to quickly talk to David Schildhouse here. David?
Hey, David Schildhouse, how are you? The second place finish here tonight. I bet you guys are worn out after that long run.
Yeah, Kevin, I feel like it's forever since I've talked to you guys. Not since all the way back at Michigan before the summer break have I finished in the top 3. I'm wore out, but I'm just really pleased to come out of here with a second place finish. We needed this bad. It has been a struggle, as I'm sure y'all have documented to an endless extent, the summer slump that I've been going through. To come out of here with a second place finish, man, that's a shot in the arm that we needed. I've been I've been in a dark place for a number of weeks now because of how bad things have gone for us since we came back, and it just hasn't really clicked on a lot of different fronts where it used to click for me, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come. I felt like I've had the speed the past couple weeks, just kind of didn't have the luck to go with it, but hard-fought night tonight. I went exactly how I thought it was going to. I knew Cody was going to be really good, and he didn't disappoint there, and I figured I was going to be fighting for second with Justin, and that's exactly what happened. So glad to finally beat the 51 for once. Damn, I needed that.
I don't know if we call it a fight. I think I'd call it a brawl. The two of you leapfrogging each other, looking. Tell me about your pit strategies here tonight.
Yeah, we it was kind of a floating target coming into this because the fuel load and the length of the race kind of put us in an interesting position, and we had to sort of massage that. And I got to give Justin Fuller a lot of credit. He was very receptive to me this morning and Cody when we sort of identified that we needed to work on those numbers a little bit to create a more interesting race and not put people in a box. And so I appreciate them being willing to hear us out and do that, because I think it created a more interesting race. But for me, I came in just trying to make the even stints, like 17, 17, 16 to get to 50. But I did a bad job in the first stint, killed my front tires. So I had to pit a little bit earlier, a little earlier in the second stint to try and jump Justin, because he absolutely destroyed me on the exchange. But I felt like I was a little bit faster if I could just hit my marks. We were really even, unsurprised, and I guess he took 2 on the last stop, which I considered, but I guess he took on damage as well from the 49, I think, and that was a big detriment to the way his car performed, and we were able to get around him and drive away. But it was a great battle. I mean, Kevin, I haven't been this relevant since Michigan, and it felt good to be relevant on a Monday night again and remind people that, how things went in the first half of this year, maybe get some momentum back, and, with 2 races to go before the playoffs begin, not let Justin Fuller just steal this regular season championship out from under me, which I'm really going to fight hard over the next 2 weeks. Interesting races to try and do it at, but we're going to give him hell.
Yeah, you were 2 points behind him, or 4 points behind him coming in tonight. You finished in front of him, so that's going to even it up. Now you're 2 markers back, and I think relevant. Next week we're going to see you run into Richmond, and I know you're going to carry some speed there. How about it? Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, big thank you to Splash and Go Graphics. I feel so rusty at this, Kevin. I haven't done an interview in forever. Splash and Go Graphics for the beautiful paint scheme, of course. Everybody at twitch.tv/Schildhouse. The children were cheering me on, even though I ignored them all night so that I could lock in and do 50 good laps. I appreciate them being supportive as always. Briar LaPrade back on top of the box for me. God, I missed him a lot. It's good to have him back and helping us fight for this championship. He was so helpful tonight with keeping an eye on everything and getting the strategy right on the fly. Cook's Landscape Group for supporting and sponsoring the series. Everyone at Sim 500 for putting this thing on, and you and Sean and everyone at Turn 1 Broadcasting. This is a broadcast I will be happy to go back and watch, Kevin. I have admittedly not gone back and watched many broadcasts recently because I just don't want to relive the pain. But finally a bright spot for us, and hopefully we've turned a corner. Take the fight to him at Richmond, and then figure it out in the regular season finale at Daytona and see if we can't salvage this regular season championship. I really, really want to have those playoff points.
Yeah, I don't know that I would bet against you there. Thanks for talking with us, David. We'll see you next week in Richmond. Good luck, and congratulations on the second. And we'll turn it over to Sean, who's caught up with Cody down in Victory Lane.
Hey, Cody, congratulations. A really solid run here tonight. And I tell you what, that 95 looked like you were on rails most of the evening, but talk to me about the first 6-7 laps. We saw that lead position change hands. Did you know that you had the pace here? What was your thoughts walking into tonight's race?
I thought I would have the pace. I had a good run at, I think we did Coda earlier in the year. I was able to win that one. And then, yeah, I was trying to be cautious on the start to not like get in trouble for jumping it or anything, and then not go too wide and take David off the track. So I just wanted to keep it clean through turn 1 and 2. I knew it'd be hard to get around him, but I knew if I minded my time, I probably could do it. I'd bring a couple NISs to kind of figure out how to use the tire and not kill the left front. And then, yeah, he wiggled up through the S's, and then I was able to get around him into the bus stop, which was a little bit hairy, but I knew if I could get clear and get clean air, I felt pretty good that I'd be able to stay out front. I wanted then to get a big enough gap to where I could always pit just a lap after the guys behind, since fresh tires were worth something. And I was able to do that and kind of stay in control and avoid the lap traffic, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cody, we saw you out to a pretty strong lead there towards the very end, an 18-plus second gap, but also having to play with a little bit of lap traffic there. I mentioned at one point slowing down is almost just as harmful as the working around that lap traffic. How critical was it to hit those marks here tonight? How forgiving was the track and the car here tonight with these next-gen machines?
Yeah, once I get into a groove, I don't want to slow down much. Especially like through the bus stop, I feel like if you hit that different, you might catch a curb wrong and spin yourself out. I had a couple of moments through there that scared me a little bit. The rest of the track is pretty forgiving. I mean, you can lock a tire here or there. But yeah, overall, just trying to manage the left front tire and keep it on the track and not spin up the rears at all.
What a great run here tonight, a commanding victory at Watkins Glen. Cody, congratulations on victory here, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing this and putting it on each week, and people that watch, it's a lot of fun to race with these guys.
Cody Harris, your winner here tonight at the Glen, and pull it off. A powerful victory nonetheless. Cody, thank you.
Thank you guys.
And with that, we'll wrap up race coverage. But first, Kevin, I think that was exactly what we thought it would be and not what we thought it would be, all in the same breath. A wild night here around all 11 turns of this full Watkins Glen racetrack. Only racing, 6 or 7 of them, but that's okay. It turned out to be a great race going left and right.
We saw great competition throughout the field. Hats off to these guys for an outstanding race. And what I'm excited about is a 9-time winner is 2 points behind Justin Fuller for the championship run as we head into next week. And I would not have guessed that in the beginning of the season, but this is going to be a fun punch to the end of the fight battle for this regular season championship.
Last week we go to what everybody likes to call a short track in Richmond. I don't feel like it races like that sometimes, but we're headed to Richmond, Virginia to take on that racetrack here. 8:30, 7:30 Central, Monday night. The Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series returns to Turn 1. And we're going to call it a wraps right there. On behalf of the league admins and Kevin England, we appreciate you tuning in. I'm Sean Fitz. We'll see you next Monday night for more Cup Series action. Good night, everybody.